Have My
Have we
camera's
done
not
the
showing
social
up.
media blitz?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Top Deck Heroes. With you, as always, is Kevin Broberg, Matt Hughes, and myself, Sean O'Brien.
Everyone.
I
Except I
currently,
don't see Matt Hughes.
yeah, I don't see me either. I don't know why.
Well, worse things have happened. So we're going to continue going through these technical difficulties till it gets sorted out. A couple things to follow up on last week. Last week we had a challenge. And two of our esteemed hosts had to play as Billy Kane.
As I understand it, one of our esteemed hosts had a great time playing Billy Kane.
The other one, not so much.
Not so much. He had some
We
trouble.
we
I
each took
guess.
different routes. I felt like
I
I
bet
took the true Billy challenge. That's okay.
you took your route of not building your deck, and I took my route of building my deck and finding creative options and fun things. And I
You
mean,
don't
we were
understand
we were broadly similar decks.
how hype Josh was to make this deck for me, because he made the deck a couple weeks ago, before we even made the challenge, on how bad I told him Billy was. He's like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove you wrong. And he built the deck into Billy's theme. And that's what it was. Like, I had a bunch of really quality, excellent cards that I liked, but I didn't have any actual moves to kill people with very well. Like, my kill turns on like the two games I actually won consisted of multiple gyrations into
Like
multiple.
Jiraishin with multiple keyword. Oh my god.
No. Just playing multiple
Okay.
copies of Gyration just to string out lots of draws and stuns and whatnot. Into Raijukin. The stun one
Oh
5 mid for
wow,
two
burn them for one.
punch. Yeah, so I'd burn them for five and then
For
burn them.
four, yeah.
I'd burn them for three and then for four. Um, and the
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
but before we
did we want to go over through the schedule or anything before we get into it?
nope, we're getting right into it. But I want to
Okay.
just kind of remind everybody what Billy does in case they're listening and not watching.
Yeah.
So Billy Kane is a 627 with all chaos and evil. He doesn't really do much other. I'm just kidding. On a 4-up, after his attack deals 2 or less damage, your opponent has to add a foundation from their staging area to their hand. So it's ever hopeful on a stick, except you get to choose.
Your opponent chooses. So if they have, for example, a face down Ophidiophobia, they can put that back in their hand and recycle it for the next turn.
So he kind of struggles there. And then he's encouraged to play moves that are going to deal 2 or less damage.
Yep.
And his other ability is tap a foundation. Your attack with a printed damage of 2 or less gets multiple 1.
Yeah, so kind of like the goal here is like you slap them on like turn one, make them bounce foundation, so they got a weaker build, and then you get that momentum, and the next turn you play some attacks, you get your like little dinky hits in, and then you start multiplying your stuff out and just like bury them beneath the flood of limp wristed slaps. Yeah.
So, Hughes, how did your deck try to play towards Billy's theme?
Well, first off, every single card in the deck was actually 2 damage or less. All the attacks.
Yeah, you could multiple them all out if you wanted to.
Yeah, and it made it so when I hit, that always triggered, and it had like things like Gyration, which I got to draw a card if it didn't hit, if they blocked it. So I got to bounce something or draw. So that was probably one of those really strong cards. Hurricane or not Hurricane Upper. Rolling Uppercut, Felicia's Punch.
Yeah, that card is incredible for Billy.
Yeah, I either get more momentum for multiples, or it's a low, so it's a pretty good chance it's gonna hit. You don't really want to be blocking a 4 low for 2.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with it is that it's got 4 speed. So if your opponent doesn't have very many foundations out, or if they only have +3 blocks in their hand, or for example, if you've hit them with a couple times with Billy and triggered them a few times, they can bounce their +3 blocks, but they might not have enough foundations for the speed of that attack. So it can be really hard for them to stop, which is something that Billy doesn't usually have. He's usually pretty easy to stop.
The other thing it was doing is to kind of cheat and get around all my moves being 2 damage. It ran stuff like Raijukin and Soul Flash, which did vitality loss on hit. So like, I had games where I just like two Jiraishins, do the Raijuken, which I burn them for each stun, attack, and play in my card pool. So that would do 5 in addition to its 2 base damage. And then usually bounce something. It's a 5 speed mid, and it's my 3rd card. And then you play Soul Flash, discard momentum, and on hit they lose 4 from the cards in play, and then 2 more from its actual damage.
I feel like there was a missed opportunity in your deck, Hughes. I feel like even though Billy's theme is, two or less, I feel like you could get away with running moves that do maybe like 3 or 4 damage, and really punishing your opponent if they try to half block them.
Mm-hmm. The big thing that I wish was in the deck that we didn't see till afterwards was Luminous Illusion. The
oh really?
The 2 mid for 3 throw.
Oh no, that's
not
Innocent Hug.
Innocent Hug.
Luminous Illusion's the 4 mid for 7 that gets back on momentum.
Yeah, I mean Luminous Illusion wouldn't be that bad either. I was one of those cards.
Yeah, Luminous Illusion's a cool card.
Yeah. But yeah, Innocent Hug. I don't know why I confuse the cards. I was just looking through all of Lilith's stuff, trying to remember the names of things. So that's probably why. But yeah, Innocent Hug would have been nice because it's another thing they don't really want to block because they're only taking away 1 damage, and it's always like.
Yeah, the thing with Hug is that if they don't block it at all, they take 3, so they don't have to drip bounce to Billy.
Yeah.
But like they take more damage instead of less, and so they can actually die faster. And then I don't know. Did your deck actually have Murakumo?
No, it did not.
So
the plan was
deck,
for another deck to run it that night.
Yeah, I actually played 3 copies. I played both Innocent Hug and also the 6 difficulty Kyo attack Murakumo, which is a 5 speed low for 2 with multiple 4 printed on that also gets a momentum for its own ability. So with Billy, having that card in my deck made it a lot easier to just like straight up Armageddon people, put all of their cards back into their hand.
Yeah, especially with Billy's ability, it effectively becomes a multiple 5.
Yeah.
5x, 4 low 2, 5 low 2.
5 speed low for 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never actually pulled off I pulled off multiple 4 more than once. I had 4 momentum, but I never actually had 5 momentum. By whatever coincidence.
Yep. Murakumo was something Josh really wanted in the deck, but the plan was for one of us to try out Snake Man that day, the revamped version, but there was just not enough time to build it, and Jeff ended up trying out Iori instead.
I'm glad that Jeff broadened his horizons with, the character that actually plays all of his own support the way he likes.
The one thing that I did like with Billy, that was probably, it made the whole night worth it. It was really fun. Was I went first and played against Jesse. I played Never Hopeful, Felicity House, and 2 other foundations on turn 1. And then proceeded to play some Jiraishins and the Raijuken on turn 2 with multiple activations of Ever Hopeful, with just activating it and then Felicity Housing it back down and picking it up again, and then doing Billy's thing. So he played 4 foundations on turn 1. I put him to 0 foundations for his turn 2.
Good
and
stuff.
Then it just kept going from there.
Yeah, I'm not convinced Billy is quite the joke he used to be.
No, I think Billy certainly has a lot of tools, and I know a while ago AJ Murray posted an Evil Billy deck actually that was playing a lot of 4 damage throws, so that you could either take 4 damage or half block and get your board bounced. And this was back when Evil was considered a genuine tier 1 symbol, between Revoke and A Girl Like Any Other and Relinquishing the Championship and all those kind of toys. But I think there's something to be said there for that right now even. There's a lot of really high quality throws. Dimitri has a printed 2 damage throw that's always going to bounce something. The reason I didn't build that for myself was that I was really afraid of Aphidiophobia.
Yeah, bouncing Aphidiophobia is terrifying.
Yeah, because you're playing all these throws and it's like Aphidiophobia, okay, take 0, and you're like, okay, here's another throw. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get your board bounced. They're like, okay, pick up Aphidiophobia, replay it next turn. Ah.
Yeah, that's kind of the downside with the flip cost becoming so prevalent.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cards that pay for themselves by flipping, and Billy could potentially be putting some really good cards back into his opponent's hand.
Or imagine playing against a Kapokan trading deck, and then they also have Templar. Like, you're just never gonna win.
Yeah,
Jeez.
ever.
Like, every time I look at Billy, though, I look at his second ability, and I just want a better version of that because I like the ability to just give anything multiple one.
We had that a little while ago with Tira.
Good old Tira. She doesn't share a symbol with Rain Flush, though, does she? That's too bad.
Well, Rain Flush is worded, so you can only discard one card for its multiple, no matter how much
really?
multiple. Yeah.
Okay.
They actually
That's neat.
they made sure.
Judge.
What?
Are we sure? Anyway, can I talk about my Billy deck?
I guess. Go ahead.
So I think broadly speaking, I mean, we both played Chaos Billy. We both had several similar attacks. Like I was playing 4 Gyration and 4 Rolling Uppercut. Just 2 damage attacks. But I decided when I was building my deck that I hate running into mid blocks. I hate when my opponent has a Skull Barrier for my mid attack. I hate when my opponent has a Templar or a Gemini Man or a Ever Hopeful or any of that kind of stuff. And so I looked at Raijin Ken and Soul Flash, and I thought, mid zone, not doing it. I'm gonna try to play all lows. And I actually filled out my deck, with several similar attacks. But then I decided to try to, take a walk on the wild side a little bit with my Billy deck, and I played 2 copies each of Hyper Bomb, which is a 5 damage attack, Cat Spike, which is actually a high attack because I'd get people thinking I only have lows, and I just Cat Spike the crap out of their face, and also Innocent Hug, which is a mid but it's also a throw, and it's got that mix up we talked about a minute ago. And I also played a lot of just kind of 1 and 2 of techie stuff. Like I had a couple copies of Give Up Yet in my deck, which I adored. I really liked that card, and this deck was a great home for it because 1 and 2 copies of stuff can get kind of clunky. You can get bad draws if you don't want to attack right now, and lets you review through those. And when you have a good draw, or when you sneak in a Jirai on turn 1, you can suddenly have a giant pile of momentum to feed to Billy multiples, to feed to Ever Hopeful response, to feed to powerful or multiple keywords of your attacks. I Rolling Uppercutted someone for 12 in 1 game. And then he self-destructed and managed to take the game after that. But and I actually played a lot of Lil support. So I played not only New Experiences, which lets you draw a card after you hit them for 3 or less damage. I also played several copies of Mary, which really let my deck, try to kill someone if I had the right draw. Specifically, if I won a game against Jesse's playing Felicia by playing a multiple for Murakumo as the second Murakumo of the turn with a Mary in play. So I had 5 copies of a 4-speed low for 4 attack, and that's a very legitimate kill. You can slap someone for 2 a whole bunch of times, but you make 20 damage on your board, and they have to block 5 times to stop it all. That's really tough to stop at 4-speed low.
And if they half block it, you still get to bounce their stuff.
You still get to bounce their stuff, which is almost kind of a downside because they're probably doing it on purpose to pick up low blocks. But really, I just treated the deck almost like a control deck. A lot of my cards would generate more cards for me. If I hit you with a Jirai, I'm going to draw a card in the worst case, and make you spend a resource in your hand to block. But if I played a Jirai, I remember one game I played a Jirai, he didn't block, and then I used 3 New Experiences, and then built 5 foundations and passed the turn back to him, and I just had way more resources than him. And if I hit you, you would lose resources, and I would gain them because I would get a momentum, and you would also be down on the foundation, and I might get something else out of it. If it was if it was a Rolling Uppercut, for example, I could bitch momentum to get 2 more momentum. So that's 3 momentum for 2 cards. So that's a really good deal. And I had a lot of fun with the deck. Honestly, I thought it was extremely different. I've had an affinity for small attack decks that just flood people, but it wasn't like the old slice kick decks really at all. It was a very different kind of experience, and it was a lot of fun. I would play Billy again, and I posted my list on the forums. You can check it out. And I posted a bunch of discussion about some of the weirder choices I made.
So at the end of the night, what was your guys' records?
I went 1-1-1. A 1 win, 1 loss, 1 draw. I lost my first match against my brother's Jada deck, which was actually it's a really cool deck. It's a death deck that also plays Rain Flush. So he has both Finale Rosso and Rain Flush as attacks that like give themselves multiple copies. And we split games. I thought I was gonna lose game 1 by a mile after I failed my first card. I went second and failed my second card. That's what happened. I played a card on a I somehow played cards on a 3 and 4 difficulty or whatever, and just failed my turn very abruptly, and was behind by a mile. But I somehow almost clawed back into it, and then I won game 2, putting him on 0 cards very regularly. But then game 3 he self-destructed and I drew into 4 attacks, and I just couldn't come back from that. And then my game 2 I played against Jade's Elizabeth deck, and I thought I was going to 2-0 him. I kept putting him on 0 foundations. He wasn't getting really good builds. But then, on his last turn, he had 3 cards in play, and he draws his hand. He goes, Danger Zone, Cossack Catcher, the reversal that puts a card on top of your deck, stack my check, Cossack Catcher, check a 6, stack a 6, Shiranui no Mai. And I just died to that. Like, I couldn't stop him, and I just couldn't deal with the amount of damage. Because I'd spent my turn, putting him on as few foundations as I could, and I just couldn't deal with the guaranteed control checks and fast high attacks with my block modifiers boosted. And then he managed to. Then we got out to a draw because I couldn't finish him off in time in game 3, and then I won my third round against Jesse, teaching Felicia a lesson in picking up her foundations. I think she'd be good at it, having ever hopeful to everyone forever, but she wasn't the most hopeful in that match.
Hughes, how did your night go?
I went 0-3. I played against Giggles with the Iori deck that we threw together for him, just so he could learn it. And the deck just kind of rocks me when he plays 5 foundations turn 1 and then 6 attacks turn 2.
Giggles luck, yeah.
Giggles luck.
That's a really awkward matchup, I think.
Like, I actually almost got him one of the games, because the plan was to try and get him down, force him to kill himself down to no life, and then just flood him with a bunch of 2 damage moves that would all be for lethal. But he just got way too many attacks in the match game 2. I was trying to be defensive and keep myself alive. I blocked 3 of the attacks, but he still rocked me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Iori. Who'd you play second round?
Second round was against Jesse. He was the one where I got to do the hilarious play of Ever Hopeful and Felicity House turn 1, and then just time walked him and had him scoop on turn 2. And then game 3, I made a little bit of a misplay because I was playing Billy, but so I wasn't sure what I was really doing. And I came close to game on the third match, but couldn't get there. And then who did I face game 3? I don't remember. I remember I got to do the same thing again of playing a bunch of Raijukins and Jiraishins and bouncing their field. But I don't remember the match very well because the other 2 games were kind of the Billy deck decided to do nothing again. But the one thing I learned is if Ever Hopeful can make it so Billy can win a game, Ever Hopeful's a problem.
It might be. Well, I did not have to be chained down by Billy Kane, so I played Gemini Man. It was a fun time. There is a super underrated card, I think, in that deck, and that is Moonbase.
I thought it was Gemini Man.
Gemini Man's pretty good.
Hey man, he didn't top 8 a Pro Tour. He's garbage.
So when you first look at Moonbase, you're kind of like, what is this crap? Why would I want to make my own moves slower? And I really liked that the matches that it was particularly useful in was I played against Justin with his Raiden deck, and I was able to use Ophidiophobia and then bounce Gemini Man back to my hand with Moonbase to play Gemini Man again. He got me game 1. Game 2, I got the whole band together.
Oh, man.
And then game 3, I got 3 Gemini Men out, and the moves just get so big so fast.
Yeah, if you like multi-stack, it's really hard to stop Gemini Man.
Mhm.
And that's like the payoff for playing him too. And I think Moonbase is it's kind of an under the radar card, but I mean, I'll ask anyone about the card Powerful Assassin, and if they're a serious tournament player, they'll tell you it's a staple.
Mhm.
And Moonbase is like Gemini Man only staple. I think it reminds me of that card a lot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like I was really giving much up using Moonbase.
No, you're not at
'Cause
all. Yeah.
one speed, I mean, once you've got 2 or 3 Gemini Men, one speed is kind of peanuts. It feels like it at least. And then you're bouncing a character card, which you can only commit once anyhow. So bouncing a character card in your hand isn't bad when you plan to block and then draw a new card. It's like, it almost makes Gemini Man almost like a Templar only for Gemini Man too, because you get to
Yeah.
put cards in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
I mean, yeah, like Moonbase just says you get to like this once per turn you play a 0 mid block and draw a card.
Yeah, I feel Moonbase is really good in any of the Gemini Man decks that try to go for a mid to long game. If you're trying to stack by the end of turn 2 or so and then kill them on turn 3, it's not that great. But if you're building your deck to live and purposely try to stack multiples, that's where Moonbase gets a lot better.
Yeah, like if you're planning to play Gemini Man as a form, like on a regular basis, then you might not be very interested in Moonbase because it's not that kind of game plan of a card. It's a card that says, well, Gemini Man gives me this capacity to play defense in this way, and so I'm going to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. I know. So I played against. I'm trying to remember who I played against. I played against first round against Sonic's Raiden deck. Game 1, I just never ever saw a Videophobia, and that's really really bad against Raiden because everything always hits always.
Yeah, you just have to like reverse limb and try to race, right?
Yeah. And he was running the water package, so he was running rolling uppercut,
Rolling Cutter?
which is
No, rolling cutter,
Rolling cutter,
right? The reversal.
that is really annoying for Gemini Man. Cancels my whole ability.
Yeah, get out of my face.
And then again in round 2, I played against Mr. Khan, and I had the wonderful fortune of getting Moonbase out. And I mean, game 1, he just like checks all 5s, and everything went well for him. Game 2, I got to go first, and I was able to, get some Ophidiophobias out and an Ever Hopeful, and I mean, with Iori, it's really hard to decide on your Ever Hopeful targets sometimes because
Violent every time. Violent every time.
Violent or a Powerful Assassin.
Okay, I could see hitting Powerful Assassin sometimes.
I usually went for Powerful Assassin because it didn't roll a block,
Yeah.
and it also puts cards into his hand that he wants instead of cards in his hand that he doesn't.
Well, I'm thinking Violent just because it's a very potent offensive piece.
It is. Unfortunately, Jeff had the misfortune of he attacked into me turn 2, and I had 2 Gemini Men in my hand.
Oof.
And I blocked twice. And then on one of the draws, I drew the other one.
Sean, did you shuffle your deck at all between
I
these games?
shuffled.
Like I stacked 4, and then I drew 3, and then I drew 4. I drew the 4th one on turn 2. Yay!
Well, I mean, it was really awkward the turn before when I drew into the 2, because I drew into I drew 1, and I'm like, okay, cool. I drew a couple foundations, and I drew the other one. I'm like, well, this sucks. And then I drew a couple more foundations, and I wanted to actually get in there.
yeah.
So I wanted to reduce his life total where he wouldn't be able to use Iori's ability that often. And then when I was blocking, I happened to draw into to another one. So, I mean, over the course of that many cards, it's very good, but it's not impossible. Because I also checked like 4 cards.
Yeah.
The thing that really slowed Iori down was being able, with Ophidiaphobia and my Gemini Man blocks, to block all of his stuff.
Yep.
And it didn't. In game 2 and 3, Jeff was never in a position where he could activate Iori's ability to clear his card pool. So he had to fight against progressive difficulty. He didn't want to get blown out by Gemini Man, especially once the band starts getting together.
Yeah.
Because Iori can get blown out by them.
No, for sure.
And then in the final round, I played against Jada.
Rain Flush Data, right? Same one.
Unfortunately, Ben in his first game, I ended up playing 5 foundations on my first turn to his 2. I'm sorry, to his 1. He checked a 2 on his second form. And so he self-destructed, blew up the world, and I had a very fortunate draw where I was able to play 5 foundations again. And then he just never caught back up. And unfortunately, game 2, he also checked poorly and just was behind the whole way.
Yeah.
I did learn some lessons, though, from that game. I learned that multiple's just really bad against Jada, because he's going to reversal you and put your multiple copy into your staging area and take your good stuff away.
Oh, yeah, it's really bad against Nero Fatica. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, yeah, he's going to Spregio you and put a foundation in your card pool, and you're going to, like, have to eat a Spregio, and then he's going to, like, Spregio you again. You're going to have to put another foundation in your card pool, 4 progressive difficulty.
Kevin Broberg, you don't
But
eat
Nero
Spragios
Fatica-
when you have Gemini Man in your hand.
I mean, yeah, okay, whatever.
But no, Nero Fatica, that's a beating. You never want to play multiple because you don't know if he's got it.
Yeah. Nero Fatica, like, that card's awesome. I love that card. I'm going to play that card in my Hua deck this week.
Wow, that's your deck for this week?
Yeah.
Matt, what are you playing this?
Probably gonna play one of my decks that I built and I didn't get to play it yet, like the Dimitri deck.
Yeah.
I'm kind of working on back and forth a new Jiffany deck of a different symbol, but I just can't decide.
Order.
I've thought about that because it shares symbols with my favorite card, Rainflush.
I was going to say basic training.
Yeah, so everybody, if you play against a player from Rochester, especially from the Hughes crew, that's Hughes, Giggles, Jesse, or Ben, be prepared to block Rainflush. That's their favorite.
Andrew Forrest. Andrew Forrest.
Oh, Andrew Forrest. He doesn't travel much.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
But if you play against him too, any of those guys, be prepared to block Rainflush. That is their favorite card right now.
It'll be my favorite card forever.
Till I ban it. Blah.
You
That
wouldn't
card's
do that
fine.
to me.
It's fun.
I know.
I think that card was good design.
Mhm.
Alrighty, so moving on from our deck reports, a little bit of news. Over the weekend, well, actually, it was actually right after our show last week. The championship in Las Vegas was announced.
Yeah.
It looks like we got some changes for this year, gentlemen. Looks like instead of being at the South Point Casino, we're going to be at Otakon Vegas.
Yeah. So that's on the Strip. Is that right?
Yeah, it's going to be at Planet Hollywood. It's right in the middle of the action.
It's fantastic. You can get some. The hotels are much more
Plentiful.
both plentiful and also they're trying to get you in with discount rates, so you will spend more money on the casinos inside of them compared to the South Point. It's more of their game plan.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be held at Otakon, and I've got some friends who've been to the Baltimore Otakon who, I mean, they've always said good things about it. I've never heard anything about Las Vegas Otakon. So that's kind of exciting. Now, according to what I've heard, the tournament hall is not actually in the con, so there's a possibility that if you go, you may not be required to purchase a badge for the event.
Really?
That being said, I'm not going to stand outside of an anime convention and not go in. I mean, I can't resist. I'm going to buy a badge, which I'm sure helps support the convention, which hopefully means they'll invite us back next year. So, you know, if you are able to and you want to go see some cool anime shit, buy a badge.
Yeah, I've heard there's some perks associated with that as well. Something about buffets.
Yes, my understanding is people who purchase an Otakon badge, there's like an additional fee you can pay that lets you go to like 4 Caesar's own buffets, 24 hours. So you get hungry at like 3 a.m, you go to the buffet. I mean, presumably if they're open those hours. I'm not sure if they're open 24 hours a day, but
I'm sure one of them is.
But being able to get unlimited food in Las Vegas is always pretty good. Unfortunately, it does not cover the Bacchanal.
No, I mean that would be
That would be insane.
Oh,
For those of you not
Bacchanal's so
familiar,
good.
the Bacchanal is the buffet at Caesar's Palace, where you have unlimited crab legs and prime rib and.
It's supposed to be evocative of the ancient Roman practice where you eat so much food and it's so good you want to go puke, so you'll eat more of it.
Oh,
And they don't actually do that.
You'll have to take a visit to the vomitorium.
Yes, precisely. But they don't actually support that. But it's so good, you'll wish they did.
You'll wish that you could eat more. And
Yeah.
that's really the story every time I go there.
And then you go to the dessert thing, and there's like literally 20 insane things at the dessert buffet.
So the
What a-
downside,
yeah.
the slight downside to all this is the dates are pretty close. We're only
Yeah,
about 3
sooner.
months out.
And the upside, my birthday is the 16th, which falls directly in the center of this. They're the 15th through the 17th of January for U.S. Nationals this year.
Will-
U.S. Nationals.
Worlds.
Worlds. It's called
God,
Words.
how to speak. Yeah, I knew it
So-
was different. I was like, Nationals now.
So as a birthday present, will Jasco Games print your cards?
Ha! Fat chance.
That would involve Kevin getting his art done.
All right. Maybe you'll get your artwork done for your birthday?
I'm gonna send an email right now.
Well, why don't you do it after the show? So, one thing I'm really recommending for folks who are planning to go to the tournament is to think about getting their plane tickets very soon. Hotels, you can sometimes get really good deals last minute. Flights, while they do have some discount flights right at the last minute, you're not guaranteed to get to where you want to go.
Yeah. And the prices do generally start ramping up and don't always come back down for special deals.
So one of the things I've been looking at flying out of Rochester to Las Vegas. And one of the things I've noticed is if you are going to get a ticket, you don't want to fly close to the weekend. If you could save about $100 flying out on Tuesday instead of flying out on Monday, provided you don't lose $100 in time off of work and
Well, you
hotel
will have to pay
fare.
for a hotel that night, yeah.
So I mean that's really up to whatever you want to do. But
but you
flying
said-
on the weekdays is always cheaper. And
And you get a party in Vegas for an extra day. I mean, that's certainly worth the value if you've got the time for it.
so get your tickets right away. Southwest is always running some sort of sale. I don't think I've ever watched any football without them with a sale commercial. So if you got Southwest, try them. I know a couple other guys from around the country have said they got airlines that can get cheap flights as well. Unfortunately, Rochester's kind of poopy at cheap flights in or out.
The international airport.
By international, you can fly to another airport that will take you internationally.
You can maybe fly to Toronto like once every 2 weeks or something, but
As far as hotels go, being that we're on the Strip this year, you have a lot more options, and you can spend as much as you want on a hotel, or you can, a lot of times get some really good deals. I know a couple years back we stayed at Excalibur for only like $60 or $70 a night, maybe even cheaper. I don't remember. And if you want to live on the wild side and go down to Fremont Street, down to Old Vegas, perfectly safe. It's just kind of old. You can find even cheaper places to stay yet. And I found that taxis in Las Vegas are also very, very reasonable. But when you get to be my age, you want it to be convenient, so you want to stay pretty close by, so you don't have to get up early, and you can go have fun playing UFS.
yeah, and I mean the Strip's very walkable. It's pretty. You can meet some characters, get some trading cards out in the Strip.
Special
So it's-
cards.
It's not bad to stay on the Strip and just walk down 2 blocks to get to Otakon.
So I'm very excited about it. I hope everybody else is excited. I think it's going to be a good time. Jasco Games usually puts on a really good show in Las Vegas, especially since they're right down the street from home.
Indeed, yeah. Now this is the World Championships. It's the premier events. They've got to step up their game this year, especially.
I mean,
I'm sure we'll see that.
I do feel kind of bad for Garrett Bratt. He'll have the shortest reign as world champion.
Hopefully, not the longest reign.
Hopefully someone's able to knock him down a peg. I mean, his broken character rotated, so
Paul Bittner didn't go back to back, right? Like someone else won the year between.
yeah.
Or did he even win the first one at Vegas though, or at Worlds?
I
Or
don't
was it
recall.
Nationals? Yeah, who knows?
So it's a good time. You'll be able to have the chance to take down the reigning world champion Garrett Bratt, take down the reigning team world champions,
having been there, it was
Lions
pretty
team.
easy to take down Garrett Brett in Michigan. So
He was
you
playing
got a good
Yuri.
job.
I don't think
Hey.
he'll show up to Las Vegas playing Yuri.
Hey, you never know.
And you try to beat Lions Dance at the team championships. I mean, Rochester CCG's title is nice and safe till at least presumably Gen Con.
Yeah, we should. I don't know. I don't even have Smack Talk. I'm not even sure if Pigman and Garrett are going, but we had planned the extended champions team up, and we were gonna take that tournament like we're gonna take it like a hooker, man. We had that shit on lock.
So Matt Hughes, from a perspective of someone who hasn't gone to Vegas before, what are your thoughts about how this is all going to be happening?
They changed up a lot of things this year, but I still, this past few minutes of you describing it, I feel a lot more comfortable than I did the other day. I'm just worried about going into one of the casinos. Just
I mean,
just going off off the reservation, so to speak.
I mean, Giggles has never lost his money, and Giggles has a very
that's Giggles though.
he has no willpower.
He has Giggles luck though.
That's true.
Matt, if you want, I'll find a chaperone for you to make sure you don't lose a bunch of money on the casinos.
I really recommend that. For those of you who do know me, I kind of have a gambling problem. So when I do go gambling, I always take a babysitter with me. Usually it's my gambling buddy, Ryan Field. He always takes good care of me, makes sure I don't spend too much money.
You play pretty small stakes too, right?
Yeah. Somebody you don't want to gamble with is Jeffrey Kahn. Jeffrey Kahn is a narc. Let me tell you guys a quick story about that before we move on to our next topic. So when we were bringing Jeffrey into the South Point last year, I saw a giant slot machine. And I can't resist a giant slot machine. So I put $40 into the giant slot machine. While Ryan Field went and got registered for their room, and I sat there and I played the giant slot machine. And of course, being a slot machine, I lost my $40. You can't.
Yeah, it wasn't like $40 one spin. It was like $40,
after like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But you can't go to Vegas and expect to win money. That's not how Vegas works. Otherwise, they wouldn't be open. And so, as soon as Jeffrey saw my wife, who I love very much, he goes, "Christine Shaw lost $40 in the spinning machine." And he proceeded to do that every time we did anything that weekend. I lost $40 at Pai Gow, and I was talking to a lady. Like, Sean was drinking alcohol and talked to a lady and lost $40.
Wow.
So what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless you hang out with Jeffrey Kahn.
And hey, he hasn't like told the stories. He just like tells everyone in Vegas. So what happens in Vegas, everyone knows about in Vegas.
All right, so moving on, we have a spoiler tonight.
Heyo.
Heyo!
What's the spoiler from, Sean O'Brien?
We're going to be. This is a spoiler of the card people are going to be receiving if they come to the Rochester CCG 2K.
It's an exclusive promotional card, never before seen.
Never before seen. Matt, could you please put that up on the screen?
All right, here it goes.
We'll see it in about 30 seconds.
Okay, so the character we're spoiling tonight looks like it's a character card. His name is Jiminy Man. Jiminy Man. He's a 3 difficulty, 6 control check character, 7 hand size, 19 vitality. He's got these weird new symbol looking things. I think that's air, evil, and water.
I think he has the Dr. Wily symbol, so you're allowed to play him in any Dr. Wily deck, right? That's how it works.
Let's see. After you block with a card named Jiminy Man, add it to your staging area and draw a card. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, I'd run that.
I think it's very potent. Defensively, it's like better. It's not better than Templar, but it's very similar to Templar with additional copies of this character because it's one that's block modifier and then it's one that's progressive difficulty for the whole turn. So it's very powerful.
And he has a second ability that says your attack gets +1 speed for free, which is already a pretty good trade-off. But it has the additional ability that you get +1 damage and +1 speed for each copy of this character card in your staging area.
No, it says for each character card in your staging area.
For each character card in your staging
So
area.
if they made a 2-dot version of this guy someday.
Of Yemenimon?
Whoa! Imagine the power.
So, I mean, I think, there's some potential to this ability, especially with the blocking he's able to do. You could stack copies of this character card fairly easily and make attacks that are incredibly fast.
I think he has potential, but right now, like in this metagame, I can't see him top 8 to get any Pro Tours. I just don't expect that to happen.
A card I think he's gonna be really good with is Air Tiki.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I gotta check with the rules, guys, but I do believe his ability counts as 2 instances of gaining speed. So cards can be incredibly fast with it.
Yeah, and speaking of Airman, another Airman card, Dust in the Wind, that wouldn't work so well against him because at best, it's you can cancel the for each ability. So like if he's like stacked twice, for example, he has 2 copies. It's +2 speed and then +1 speed separately. So you can give it -4 speed, but that's still a net of only -1 speed after you Dust in the Wind him. So that's not nearly as effective as it is against like a Lilith or something.
I mean, and speaking of cards we talked about earlier, I did mention Moonbase. I think Moonbase is going to be an excellent card with this character.
These designers, man, they just see into the future with these new cards they're going to print. It's incredible.
So, if you show up to the Rochester CCG 2K, you will walk away with 4 copies of this card.
4 copies?
4 copies.
Oh, 4?
You're a madman.
Is that why I could stack all of them in one
That
game?
way you could stack all of them after the tournament, or you could even register with this character.
So a character's name, that's not just the English letters that form its name, right? That's the font of it too, is that right? So I can play copies of another card named Gemini Man in a different font or orientation, is that right?
No, that is not the case.
Judge?
No.
This is a totally different character though than anything we have in standard right now.
Well,
we
you
wouldn't
see,
be spoiling it.
You could stack copies of Yemeni Man.
Yemeni Mon.
Yemeni.
So perhaps there were a Gemini Man with different like diacritical marks on it. Would that work?
Don't think so. So this character available at the 2K. We may have additional copies available for folks who don't make it, but I plan to give lots of these out.
Depending on attendance,
So there will not be many left over.
And hey, not everyone likes this character. Maybe they'll all want to just give them away to you if you ask nicely.
But you should just show up to the 2K.
Yeah.
So last week we spoiled the exclusive playmat. This week we spoiled the exclusive promo card. So long story short, y'all need to get out here for it.
Next week, the exclusive beer?
The exclusive beer will spoil next week.
We already spoiled the beer. It's going to be Genesee, whatever.
Its exclusivity is that it's free.
We're gonna spoil the exclusive football game that will be on Sunday.
Ooh, there will be an exclusive football game on Sunday where the Buffalo Bills hopefully defeat the Miami Dolphins again.
Is it actually legal for us to talk about that?
Well, we're not commenting on, the things that have happened in the game.
All right. But if we're going to show it in a public place, that might be against... I know it's illegal to show a movie in a public place.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'll have to check, make sure I don't violate any rules of the National Football League. I mean, they show it in bars all the time.
That's true. Might be part of the liquor license. Who knows?
We do have on the front page at RochesterCCG.com, you are now able to pre-register for the event. Remember, pre-registering for the event does get you, while supplies last, a copy of the tournament exclusive playmat and 4 copies of Yemeni Mon.
Yep, it guarantees your spot. If you sign up at the door, you'll still get a copy, right? But if supplies are limited, so if they run out, you might be out of luck.
You could be out of luck.
If the Gemini Mon runs out, like your luck runs out.
So let's talk about some upcoming events. The end of this month is the Poughkeepsie PTC down at Champion Card Collector.
And so, actually, speaking of
Oh.
pre-registration, there's been a change in pre-registration for this event. Is that right?
That is my understanding.
It's for all events from here on out.
All
Yeah.
PTCs from here on out. I believe they're getting rid of pre-registration.
Yeah. So if you want to, I understand that Jack Hale has arranged that if you arrange with him in advance, you can still like pre-register and get the same discount that was available through Jasco Games. But
I'm predicting that that's
you'll
probably
have
going to be the last time you're able to do that.
Yeah, it'll just be. I mean, it's up to the store owner and the scouts or whoever's putting on the show to determine that and to arrange for that. And obviously, not having a secure checkout makes it a little trickier.
Mm-hmm. So that's going to be on the 24th of this month. So that is 3 weeks from Friday. I'm sorry, 3 weeks from No, 2 weeks from Saturday. Holy
weeks.
moly!
Yeah, it's the 7th already.
So I've heard we got some pretty cool people showing up. I heard Clint Badger's making the trip down from Winnipeg.
What a madman! That's awesome.
He's crazy.
I was so glad to see him in Michigan. Maybe this time he'll play my Hua deck instead of a shitty whatever the hell he played.
Perhaps he'll remember his deck and play the deck he intended to play.
No way.
That's why he's showing up. He wants to play the deck for real.
He's gotta prove it.
A week later, speaking of the Madman, Clint Badger is going to be running the Winnipeg PTC on October 31st on Halloween.
They don't have Halloween up there, so
Really?
I have no idea.
Okay. Call Christine. Ask her about Canada's.
I don't know if Halloween's a Canadian holiday or not. If only Garrett Brett from Montana was here.
Well, in Montana, who knows?
There's no holidays in Montana right now. Oil's too cheap.
Every day's a holiday. Just bathe in money. Black gold.
So, a week after the Winnipeg PTC is the Rochester 2K. Remember, if you pre-register for that event, you're guaranteed a playmat and 4 copies of Yemeniman, which I think is worth the registration in itself.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if you have any use for a playmat at all, it's a good purchase, and you also get your chance to win $500 in Rochester's TCG store credit, the biggest prize purse of cash value ever awarded for a UFS event.
So that's pretty exciting. I mean, $500 will satisfy someone's UFS craving, depending on how often sets come out, probably for at least a year.
Well, also it depends on the magnitude of their hunger.
That's true.
If you have ceaseless hunger, that might not even cover a whole set, but it'll put a good dent in it.
I mean, that's at $72 a box, plus your free shipping discount, plus your frequent customer discount. I mean, you could probably get
7 boxes easy.
7-8 boxes, depending on your discount level. And that's pretty good. That should take care of you pretty much for a set. At least give you enough trade fodder to get what you need.
Yeah. We'll have to call in Tim Keefe about the variance, the expected number of boxes to open, 4 copies.
Of everything.
Given that you're going to get multiple copies of each ultra rare, but
So, and a week later, after the Rochester CCG 2K, is the Rockford PTC in Chicago. Well, in Rockford, Illinois. It's in Chicago.
Yeah.
Chi-Town.
If you manage to go out to that event, make sure you stop at Lou Manaldi's. They have
And
really
the
good
Game
pizza.
Corner.
Hmm?
Was it called the Game Corner?
No, I don't remember what the game place was called. That was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, talk to a Chicago native about what the name of their awesome arcade is, where you buy dinner and they give you a free 3-hour pass or something.
And you can get drunk and play Pac-Man.
You can get drunk and play Pac-Man.
Good times.
I didn't get very drunk last time. I would love to get drunk and play Pac-Man though.
So that's a pretty intense 4 weeks for UFS. 3
Especially for Clint Badger.
2K.
Yeah.
Clint Badger's going to be very tired at the end.
Gonna wear him out.
After the Rockford PTC is the Nashville PTC in December.
Yeah, take a little break for Turkey Day. Come back right before Christmas.
Get yourself down there, escape the cold weather of the north. As we all know, winter is coming. And Go down to Nashville, beat the heat, have a good time, get some barbecue.
I like barbecue.
And then, of course, January 15th, 16th, and 17th, the World Championship in Las Vegas, Nevada. Or Nevada.
Nevada.
Nevada, potato.
Montana, whatever.
Montana.
So, very busy schedule coming up for UFS.
You know, it's a good time to be playing the game, man. I mean, you can complain about Ever Hopeful if you really want to, but I think it's a great time to play, and you know,
Oh, it's
there's,
still fun.
there's more people than ever playing the game. Yeah, it's more fun than ever before.
I think there's more decks, more viable decks right now than ever.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't think we were wrong. I think our 4 choices that we all had 5 and only got 4 of them right from the last Pro Tour. Like all 4 of those decks were easy. Like they were not off base when we all picked, Gemini Man, Clark, and Athena, and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the meta, a couple years back where if we were to guess the top 8 from Worlds in 2014, it would have been easy.
Kate Ash,
Yori. But
hey, Yori hadn't top 8 at a Pro Tour that season, as I recall.
That's because Giggles didn't show up to many Pro Tours.
Yeah, he didn't top many Pro Tours. Then round 4.
But Yori had won nationals.
That is true. Well, that was multiple sets sooner, right?
No.
No, was it just the tins?
Just the tins.
Just the tins.
It was a set sooner.
Yeah.
And a bunch of champ cards, I think. Maybe not.
Champ cards, I believe, were given out there at nationals. I thought.
Yeah, so they weren't legal.
They were legal.
They?
Yeah, they were legal.
Well, it was like this year where I don't know any cards were legal.
Very open meta. I think we're gonna hopefully see the meta evolve a little bit. Maybe start to tighten down as people start to test. Because I mean, there's gonna be tournaments, and pretty much the entire eastern side of the continent's gonna be able to attend a Pro Tour fairly easily in the next 3 months. Next 2 months, rather.
And I'm sure Vegas is playing all the time too. I don't know what Cali's doing these days, but they have like 4 stores in Vegas or something.
Yeah. And rumor has it some people from Vegas might be coming to the 2K.
That would be awesome.
And I mean, they play 2 or 3. According to what I've heard from Shane Duckworth, they play UFS in Las Vegas 5 nights a week right now.
Wow.
So at almost any given night of the week, you can go somewhere in Las Vegas and play UFS.
That is hype.
Mm-hmm. Which brings us to a topic we very nearly skipped, and that is our upcoming demo. Matt Hughes, tell us about it.
Yep, we have a demo coming up next Tuesday on October 13th. It's going to be at Just Games in Penfield, New York. It's in the Panorama Plaza right next to the GameStop. I've been in there the other day. It's a really nice store, very clean. I got plenty of room for us. They just opened up last week. They've got a lot of good amenities and whatnot. They have board games that you can borrow in the back and play. So we can play.
Oh, that's really neat.
We could play UFS. If we can get tournaments started, we could play UFS, and after the tournament's done, go play a board game.
So what's the name of the store again?
Just Games. Their website is justgamesrochester.com.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'd actually gone out and looked at that location because there was a brief time that I was considering opening a brick and mortar store, but it just wasn't the right time, and I guess I missed my opportunity.
Yeah, they got it right next to the GameStop, so it's really cool. It's like,
Yeah,
I bought my video games, now to go buy some card games.
I think they'll get some foot traffic from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so come on down. We'll have demo decks. Might have some free cards to give away. If any of the local players watching have friends that live out in Penfield or at least towards that direction, get them to show up.
I can tell why
Kevin's.
Kevin's. I'm so sorry. I can tell Kevin's a little upset right now.
Why?
Yeah,
Kevin Berberg worked like a block away from there.
I used to work literally like not quite walking distance because it was like a mile or something. But I moved offices 10 miles away.
I could tell that's exactly what you were thinking while you were looking at the address.
Yeah, like I used to get lunch at the Panera down there before they closed. Yeah.
No Panera anymore.
So I think that's all great news. So if you want to come down for a demo, we'd love to teach you. We'd love to have as many UFS players as possible. I mean, we're still going to play on Fridays at Millennium, as we always have and always will till Travis throws us out,
You won't
which
throw us
hopefully will
out.
never happen. And
But I would love to add another night to the week if we want to do that, or see what we can do down there.
well, I don't think it's any sort of coincidence that Las Vegas players are performing exceptionally well if they're playing UFS 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
Right? The other advantage of this place is Millennium's usually really busy, and if we wanted to hold a PTC there, it's kind of an issue. Note how we didn't have our PTC at Millennium. They said they want to have like their majors be like 25 to 35 people, which is around the size of a PTC. So they'd be very willing to hold PTCs for us.
That's exciting.
Fantastic.
So if you're once again, we got to do our little sales spiel at the end of the show. If you are a customer in the United States and your store doesn't carry UFS and you want them to, please contact either Matt Hughes at mhughes@rochesterccg.com or Scott Gaines at sgaines@rochesterccg.com. Their email addresses are right above our lovely faces. If you're from Canada and you want to have UFS in your store and you don't, contact Clint Badger. He's at cbadger@rochesterccg.com. And I think that wraps everything up for this week. Anything else you guys want to add before we call it a night?
Nope.
Play Billy.
Play Billy.
I'll play my 820 blank.
All right, guys. See you next week.